remember an incident, actually 3 incidents that happened when I was working with the late great Mel Waldron, pianist Mel Waldron, and the late great Eddie Moore, drummer Eddie Moore. And we had a trio in the 90s, and we were on our way to Canada. Eddie loved cookies, and there was a cookie called Lorna Doones. So I remember Mel had some Lorna Doones in the front seat, and I remember Eddie saying, "Mel, pass those Lorna Doones back here." So Mel, you know, he thought Eddie wanted a Lorna Doones, so he handed him the package. An hour went by, and Mel forgot about the Lorna Doones, but when he asked, he said, "Eddie, where's my Lorna Doones?" Eddie just kind of looked out the window and didn't say anything, and Mel looked back, and the package of Lorna Doones was gone, disappeared. I remember an incident years ago. Funny time. I was teaching at the Jamie Aebersold jazz camp in, I think it was Wichita. And the late David Baker, great human being, you know, nominated for a Pulitzer Prize for his work with jazz education. Jazz education would not be around if it weren't for David Baker. We went to a club to hear a violinist. Some great violinist in Wichita was playing. It was I remember going downstairs. It was like a jazz club, you know, like a cave. And but they served great ribs, and we were all very hungry after teaching all day. So we ordered a pile of ribs. There must have been maybe 12 of us around this big table. And David Baker was always a humorous guy, uplifting. Was always had a lot of jokes and stories to tell us. So, and David had this big afro, and he was telling us this story, and we were all laughing, and he was laughing and moving, and all of a sudden, through his motions, his wig, he had a wig. We didn't know that. His wig flew through the air and landed right on the pile of ribs that we were going to eat. And there wasn't a sound when that happened. Total quietness. And then everyone, including David Baker, burst out laughing, and we couldn't hold it back. A funny moment. Paul Horn tells me the story about going to a supermarket with Miles Davis. And Miles went up to the butcher and asked for a little piece of suet, which is from the fat of the cow, and asked for a little bit of suet. He was going to use it as he was making some dish for Paul and himself. And this guy comes out with just a huge piece of suet. I mean, it was gigantic. I mean, it would take 2 or 3 people to carry it. Miles just looked at the butcher. He says, "When I ask for a steak, do you bring out a whole side of beef?" Funny at the time if you're there in the store with Miles, but Paul Horn had some very interesting stories to share with me about himself and Miles. It was Miles who gave Paul Horn his first start with Columbia Records, because Paul was into the modal music, and Miles was just getting into modal music at that time. So they had a clear relationship, and Miles went to bat for Paul Horn, and was instrumental in getting his first recording contract for Paul Horn with Columbia Records. There's a couple of stories. God bless. Stay well and be healthy. Bye-bye.